State Hermitage Museum has opened an exhibition entitled Otma and Alexei, the children of the last Russian emperor, in the Manege of the Small Hermitage. It features costumes, accessories and toys of the Grand Duchesses and the Tsesarevich, simple details of everyday life of the imperial family. These private belongings are accompanied by archival documents and photographs that captured items on display. Some showcases are literally photos come to life. Objects in them are arranged exactly in the same way as shown on those photographs. The four sisters, Grand Duchesses Olga, Tatiana, Maria and Anastasia, each born 2 years apart, were very close as a family. They would often sign letters to their father and mother with the acronym OTMA, which was derived from the initial letters of their first names. In addition, they were grouped into pairs. Tatiana and Olga were known as the Big Pair. They were named in honor of the Larin sisters from Alexander Pushkin's poem Eugene Onegin. Maria and her younger sister, Anastasia, were known within the family as the Little Pair. And the youngest child and only boy, Alexei Nikolaevich, Tsesarevich and heir to the throne, was the favorite of the entire family, loved not only by his parents but also by his sisters. Alexandra Fyodorovna, the spouse of Emperor Nicolas II, was the granddaughter of Queen Victoria of Great Britain and spent her childhood at the British court. And even in Russia, she remained British in many aspects, for example, in methods of raising her children. That is why the infants, both girls and boys, were not swaddled but dressed in long cambric or flannel dresses, which in Russia from the beginning of the 19th century were known as English dresses. Although Alexandra Fyodorovna, contrary to the public opinion, breastfed her children, they still had a wet nurse. Wet nurses traditionally had Russian folk-style dresses, and the exhibition features such costume. Next to it, there is the Christianin set of Tsesarevich Alexei. It includes a Christianin robe of silk brocade, a font cover and 2 cushions of gold brocade and of laced satin. All these items were made for the ceremony of baptizing the long-awaited heir. The event took place on August 11, 1904, in Peterhof and was celebrated with great splendor. The ceremony was attended by the 2 elder sisters. Olga also became the godmother of her little brother, together with her own grandmother, the Dowager Empress Maria Fyodorovna. In early childhood, the emperor's daughters wore cambric dresses and sailor suits traditional for that time. For all 4 sisters, dresses were made of similar design, regardless of the age, style or constitution of the girls. Even their shoes were identical and differed only in size. And only in perfumes would Alexandra Fyodorovna allow the Grand Duchesses to show their own tastes. Tatiana preferred the scent of Le Jasmin de Corse, Olga of the tea roses. Maria Nikolaevna often changed her perfumes, but usually returned to the scent of lilacs, and Anastasia's favorite perfume was violets. The sisters had a lot of fun together. They rode bicycle, played tennis, did horse riding and took long walks. They also enjoyed playing pas de géant or giant steps sport game, as well as other outdoor activities. And sometimes they were joined by their dear papa. Alexei also was a lively child, but his games and activities were strictly limited due to his health. However, he enjoyed rowing and horseback riding, although riding was very rarely allowed to him. He had a tricycle. In 1909, during Nicolas II's visit to Italy, King Victor Emmanuel III presented the heir with a donkey, along with brightly colored harness and a painted Sicilian cart. A photograph of the Tsesarevich with the harnessed donkey has been preserved, and the exhibition features this very harness. Next to it, there is the Guignol Puppet Children's Theatre belonging to Tsesarevich Alexei. It even retained the original label of the Paris store Le Paradis des Enfants. The exhibition also features dolls that belonged to the little Tsarevnas. There were Russian, German and French dolls. The doll, dressed in the national Russian costume, is one of the few surviving silent friends of the Grand Duchesses. The Margarete Steiff toys always enjoyed success among the small customers. The toy cat on display is probably the one that the grandchildren of Empress Dowager Maria Feodorovna, Grand Duchesses and Tsesarevich Alexei played with during their visits to grandmother at her residence, the Anichkov Palace in St. Petersburg. All Russian emperors, Grand Dukes and Grand Duchesses with no exception, received home education. The royal parents could afford to invite the best tutors for their children. Among the teachers of Nicolas II's children were Pyotr Vasilievich Petrov, a Russian tutor, Pierre Gilliard, French language teacher and tutor to the heir, Charles Sidney Gibbs, the English language tutor. The royal children developed very warm and friendly relations with several of their tutors, as evidenced by numerous letters and postcards. The exhibition presents photographs and personal belongings of these teachers. For example, a Kodak camera that belonged to Pierre Gilliard. He used this camera to take pictures of the imperial family in Tsarskoye Selo, in the Crimea and then in Siberia, where Gilliard went together with them. Noteworthy that the Grand Duchesses had exactly the same handheld cameras. The sisters eagerly snapped each other, their family and friends, and then pasted hundreds of photographs into albums. 2 such albums, decorated with the Grand Duchess's own drawings, can be seen at the exhibition. The elder sisters, Olga and Tatiana, studied well, were diligent and neat, and read a lot. Grand Duchess Maria was very fond of drawing, while her academic success did not seem as brilliant as that of her elder sisters. The youngest one, Anastasia, was nicknamed Schwibzik. She was the most vivacious and restless of the 4 girls. She did not like to study, but excelled at performing comic roles in home plays and was a master of games. The exhibition presents a masquerade costume in the style of Louis XIV, in which Maria, along with her sister Anastasia, gave a scene from Molière's play The Bourgeois Gentleman in the imperial residence in Poland in 1912. The exhibition chronology stops with 1914, the year when the elder sisters gradually started to appear to the public. The only adult ball in the lives of the 2 elder Grand Duchesses was the celebration of the 300th anniversary of the Romanov dynasty on February 23, 1913. The ceremonial dresses on display were made especially for the occasion. Yet Tatiana was not present at the celebration. She had typhoid fever at that time and had to cut her luxurious long hair because of the disease. That is the reason she has a short haircut on her later photographs. The 1913 celebration is shown in detail in the watercolor by Dmitry Kardovsky. All those present are quite recognizable. Among the many court ladies and officers, Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna waltzes with Prince Ivan Nikolaevich Saltykov in the foreground center. Visitors to the exhibition find themselves not just in the Manege of the Small Hermitage, but in a fairy tale palace as if cut out of paper by a child. The exhibition curators sought to convey the atmosphere of love and joy that prevailed in the family of the last Russian emperor.